going that way, guys.
Terence Crawford and Gervonta "Tank" Davis had an unexpected run-in yesterday following their heated exchange on the social media platform X, formerly Twitter. Given the tension between them online, it seemed inevitable that their confrontation would escalate beyond mere verbal jabs. The chaos began when Terence Crawford was returning from the Ring Magazine Awards in London. Meanwhile, Davis, who had been away from training camp, was attending a meeting outside the U.S. before resuming his preparations. Fate brought them face to face, creating the perfect setting for their rivalry to intensify. GervontaDavis was the first to spot Crawford. Instead of minding his own business, he approached the former undisputed welterweight champion and questioned him about their online feud. Crawford, not taking Davis seriously, responded briefly before walking away. However, Davis continued yelling, prompting Crawford's team to step in and defuse the situation. Judging by the tension, it's clear that this rivalry is far from over. While fans anticipate a possible Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez showdown, there's now growing speculation about a potential clash between Crawford and Davis, whether in the ring, on the streets, or elsewhere. The animosity between them stems from the Ring Magazine Awards on Saturday, an event attended by boxing's elite. However, one notable absentee was GervontaDavis. Despite his 30-0 record with 28 knockouts, Davis may not have received an invitation due to his strained relationship with Riyadh Season and Sheikh Turki Al-Sheikh, who also owns the Ring magazine. Feeling slighted, Davis took to X to express his frustration in a series of posts, later deleting them. Crawford seized the moment to mock him, further fueling their dispute online. Davis was evidently displeased, venting about how fighters willing to leave the U.S. for international bouts often face underwhelming crowds. His frustration extended to Sheikh Turki, criticizing his influence in boxing and questioning why he wasn't investing in fighters from his own region. The online feud escalated when Davis boasted about his wealth, claiming he made more money than Crawford. In response, Crawford dismissed the claim, asserting that wealth isn't just about earnings but also smart investments. "I bet I have more investments than you, and I don't owe $1 in taxes. You can't buy anything that I can't buy," Crawford wrote. This latest clash adds to their history of back-and-forth jabs. After defeating Errol Spence Jr. to become the undisputed champion, Crawford had brushed off Davis's claim that he could beat him at 147 lbs. Speaking on The Breakfast Club, Crawford acknowledged Davis's skills, but emphasized that there are levels in boxing. While a fight between the two remains unlikely, Crawford is singularly focused on one major challenge, a showdown with Canelo Alvarez.
Gave a little prediction on the fight, talked about Errol has a metal shield and you have a glass shield, talked about the punch resistance. What do you think it takes to Cessna, man?
Two Terence Crawford and GervontaDavis are currently 3 weight divisions apart, but they have competed in the same classes in the past. Crawford began his career at lightweight, where Tank Davis is currently a world champion. Crawford went on to become the undisputed champion at super lightweight, a division where Davis has also won a title. Since then, Crawford has continued moving up, dominating the welterweight division before making his debut at 154 lbs last year. Meanwhile, Davis remains at 135 lbs, holding the WBA world title and maintaining his record.
I mean, you came up from 35, right?
He ain't fighting no real guys at 47.
So, okay. What about, everyone's talking about Errol fight.
While a fight between Crawford and Davis is highly unlikely, some believe it wouldn't be a foregone conclusion. In an interview with Real Life Productions, multi-division world champion Roy Jones Jr. shared his thoughts, saying, "That's a good damn fight," suggesting that the matchup could be competitive. If it took place just below the welterweight limit, Jones gave Tank a legitimate chance, citing one key reason: I don't see anybody around who's going to beat Bud unless they're significantly bigger than him.
But Crawford, on the other hand, I don't see nobody around that's gonna beat Bud unless somebody way bigger than him. But don't sleep on the fact that
Both fighters have exceptionally high ring IQs, but Tank's explosiveness sets him apart. That's one advantage. He has over Errol Spence. In boxing, an explosive fighter can go far. As Roy Jones Jr. put it, I was only able to compete across multiple weight classes because I was so explosive. Explosiveness keeps opponents in check. For now, the two Americans will continue on separate paths. Crawford is chasing a fight against super middleweight champion Saul Canelo Alvarez, which would require a 14-pound jump in weight. Meanwhile, Tank Davis is set to face Lamont Roach Jr. on March 1st at the Barclays Center. According to his latest press conference,
if him and Tank fought at about 145, that's a good daggone fight, you understand me? Matter of fact, I'm saying that's a good damn fight, you understand me? Because they both have very high IQs, and Tank is very explosive. See, that's the one thing Tank...
While a fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez appears to be on the verge of being finalized, GervontaDavis has now inserted himself into the conversation. Crawford and Canelo have reportedly agreed to terms for a mega fight set to take place this year, bringing together two of the sport's top pound-for-pound fighters. The deal is believed to have come together after both fighters met separately with Saudi boxing chief Turki Al-Sheikh in London over the weekend, following a year of back-and-forth discussions on whether the fight would materialize. While most of the boxing world is excited about the prospect of Crawford versus Canelo.
I heard him say, I'm easy work. If I was easy work, you would take all that money that he's offering you.
With Davis seemingly not in favor of the Crawford versus Canelo fight, his coach Calvin Ford has also weighed in on how he believes the bout will unfold. The debate over who would win between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford continues to intensify. A showdown between these two pound-for-pound greats would be one of the biggest fights in boxing, though it would require Crawford to make a significant jump in weight. Davis's trainer, Calvin Ford, recently shared his thoughts on the potential matchup in a
Terence Crawford Canelo situation. Do you think that's a fight where they could get to a weight that makes sense? Do you think that the weight would affect Terence Crawford?
Canelo's the king. Whatever he say, you know.
He appeared to be leaning toward the Mexican interview 7. Canelo is the king. It's a good fight, and I'd love to see how it plays out. Canelo has been making smart moves for his fights, Calvin Ford stated. Ford also shared his thoughts on Terence Crawford's last performance, where he moved up to 154 lbs to face Israel Madrimov, but was unable to secure a stoppage. It was his first fight at that weight. You can't say he didn't carry his power up, he just had to make adjustments. It's like when David Benavidez moved up in weight. It's all about adapting. I hope Terence Crawford...
Good fight. I like to see that fight, the outcome of it, you know what I'm saying? And then watching Canelo been making some good moves, as far as fights and whatnot,
Ford concluded by explaining why he believes Crawford is pursuing a showdown with Canelo. Terence is a bad boy. He's moving up because he wants this fight. He's not getting any younger, and he's doing everything he needs to do to cement his legacy. While Crawford has been focused on securing a fight with Canelo, he has also been engaged in a heated war of words with Teofimo Lopez. Their feud has escalated further, with a fresh exchange on social...
For you, Tank, at 147, how does a fight with you and Terence Crawford look? 147?
Over the past 2 years, Terence Crawford has made a strong case for being the top pound-for-pound boxer, especially after his dominant victory over Errol Spence Jr. in their 147 lb super fight. Meanwhile, Gervonta Tank Davis, who competes at 135 lbs, was asked how he would fare against Crawford at 147 lbs. Confident in his abilities, Tank predicted he would stop the bigger fighter in 6 rounds. 47? You know he's going to sleep. He ain't got no chance. Hey, I got round 6, Davis claimed. Crawford, however, quickly dismissed Davis's comments. Tank is in his weight class for a reason, and I don't see him moving up to 147 to face me anytime soon. Crawford also,
Man, everybody say, what they'll do, but Tank is in his weight class for a reason, and I don't see him come up to 147 to face me no time soon.
Appreciate it, Tank.
he's just talking, Crawford told co-hosts Charlemagne Tha God and DJ Envy. He has confidence in himself, and he believes he can do that because he's been knocking out all the fighters he's faced in the ring. So, no knock on Tank, but there are definitely levels to this. Crawford continued. If he moves up to 147, thinking he's just going...
Confidence in himself that he believes that he can do that because he's been knocking all these fighters out that he's been in the ring with.
GervontaDavis, 30, has competed as high as junior welterweight, the same division where Crawford first became a fully unified champion. In June 2021, Davis faced former WBA World Super Lightweight Champion Mario Barrios at State Farm Arena in Atlanta. The Southpaw dropped Barrios 3 times en route to an...
No knock to Tank, but there's definitely levels, and if he come up to 147...
In his most recent fight, GervontaDavis delivered a devastating knockout punch in the 8th round, stopping rival Frank Martin in a 12-round, non-title bout contested at a catchweight of 136 lbs. Meanwhile, the 37-year-old Terence Crawford has maintained his dominance at welterweight. Since moving up to 147 lbs 5 years ago, after vacating his IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO titles at 140 lbs, Crawford has defeated all 8 of his welterweight opponents by knockout or technical knockout.
And he's thinking he's just going to knock Terence Crawford out. Got another thing coming.
So that's the fight you would make happen? If he wanted to come up to 147?
Yeah.
Crawford made history by sending Errol Spence Jr. to the canvas for the first time in Spence's 10-year professional career during the 2nd round of their fight. He then scored 2 more knockdowns in the 7th round before securing a 9th round technical knockout victory. Despite his dominance, Crawford argued that he wouldn't receive full...
47 for him, that's a big money.
That's a big fight, yeah.
It's a big money fight, yeah.
So Spence...
But then what? Everybody going...
Crawford acknowledged that the potential purse for a fight against Davis would be large enough to make him consider it. Yeah, I'd stay at 147 for him because that's a big money fight, said Crawford, a former WBO lightweight champion. It's a big money fight, But then, what's everybody going to say? That he was too small. Nobody's going to give me credit. They'll say, oh man, you beat up a little guy who fights at 135. He continued, Tank is like 5'5". He's a little guy. Yeah, he can punch, but in his weight class. Not saying he couldn't punch at other weights because punching is punching, and we've seen that. But what kind of recognition am I going to get for beating up on Tank? Crawford also pointed out the significant weight difference between their divisions. A lot of people don't realize that 135 to 147 is a big jump.
That Chan, he going to sleep. I already know. I already know he ain't got no chance. I already know he is.
He said no chance.
However, undisputed heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk has thrown his support behind Terence Crawford in a highly anticipated potential bout against Saul Canelo Alvarez, which could take place at the end of this year or in early 2025. In a conversation with the 3KR podcast, Usyk praised Crawford's bold decision to move up 3 weight classes to challenge.
Of course, but there's talk of a potential fight between Canelo and Terence Crawford. How do you see that fight? Who do you like?
Terence.
Wow.
Friend, but it's crazy man. Listen.
Terence is my friend, but he's a crazy man, Usyk said. I say, Terence wins. Listen, Terence is a different kind of fighter. He works in 2 stances, and he's a very, very, very smart man.
I say, Terence win. Yes.
What? Terence win over Canelo?
Yes, Terence win. But listen, Terence, different man.
The plan is to stage the fight in the United States either late this year or at the beginning of 2025, aiming to deliver the high-stakes matchup that boxing fans crave. Canelo has indicated that he would consider the fight if the financial terms are right. While some boxing pundits believe Crawford will face significant challenges due to the weight class jump, others argue that his technical skills and ring IQ could enable him to overcome Canelo, even on the Mexican's home turf. After his dominant win over Errol Spence Jr., Crawford expressed his ambition to challenge Canelo for the undisputed super.
Terence work in two sides. Two sides.
Right.
And
switch
hitter.
Yes.
He's a switch hitter.
Yes.
After becoming the undisputed welterweight champion, Terence Crawford declared his willingness to move up 3 weight classes to super middleweight for a mega fight with Canelo Alvarez. Previously, suggestions of a catchweight bout at 158 or 160 pounds were quickly shut down by Alvarez, making it clear that any potential fight would have to take place at the full super middleweight limit. And that's all for now. For the latest updates on boxing news, moments, events,